What is up, guys? Welcome to my trailer breakdown for The Flash Season 5, Episode 5, titled All Dolled Up. So before I actually break it down, let's watch the trailer.
Did you see his face? He was wearing some sort of mask.
Who do you think's this next victim?
You kidnapped Barry.
Let's go save the Flash.
The Flash, all new Tuesday, November 13th on the CW.
First of all, so I think this episode was originally probably supposed to come out last week, as in 2 days ago, before this episode of this video is being released. Basically, the day before Halloween. This episode is coming out 6 days after Halloween, so it's not exactly the Halloween season any longer. This episode is very clearly trying to be a Halloween special, and the fact that it is more of a horror type episode, and they're definitely going for the spooky angle for this episode. They probably want it to be around Halloween. It still is around Halloween, but Halloween has passed, so it's not exactly Halloween season any longer. They probably, the showrunner or whoever was behind this idea, probably wanted this episode to come out last week, or this week rather, when episode 4 came out, but the scheduling for the season obviously did not happen that way. So let's actually get into the breakdown of this trailer. So this trailer doesn't waste a lot of time introducing us to Ragdoll, who is the villain of this week, possibly a villain of an upcoming episode, like an episode in this season. They did say that he could possibly be a recurring villain, but that has not been confirmed as of right now. I really hope he is in the future. But who exactly is Peter Merkel, aka Ragdoll? Well, in the comics, he's actually Peter Merkel Jr. There is a Peter Merkel, his father, who is also Ragdoll, but the way the character they're using on the show is much more inspired by his comic book counterpart, which is Peter Merkel Jr., as opposed to Peter Merkel. Also, the second Ragdoll, Peter Merkel Jr., is a much more famous character than Peter Merkel. If you really look up Ragdoll on the DC Wiki, Jr. is the one that shows up for both before the New 52 and after the New 52, while his father is usually left in the dust. In fact, he's not even a character in the New 52, Ragdoll, the first Ragdoll, his father, but his powers is something called contortionism, which basically he's just very flexible to a point where it just looks very unhuman, the fact that he can move his body in such a way. And the thing about that is that the actor they have for this role is actually able to do that in real life. He's basically like a real life metahuman. He was on America's Got Talent showing off his talent. I have no idea how he does this, but it seems like they're saving a lot of money on the CGI effects by casting this guy who could actually do these things. I feel like they will take it to an extreme where he can do it to a point where it's inhumane, or it's just impossible for even the actor who is playing him to do it. But I think the actor was a great choice for the role because he could actually do some of this in real life, and I think that Ragdoll in general is a villain who will probably be a lot more interesting than most villains of the week, and I think that really comes down to his powers being very interesting, and the fact that he actually is wearing a very comic booky mask, and he also has the wig he has in the comics. Now, they didn't actually give him the rest of his costume, instead opting more for a suit and a bow tie, which I think actually looks a little bit more creepy for this episode. I think his costume in the comics is a comic book costume. It probably wouldn't look very good on screen except for the mask and the wig. I just think Peter Merkel, or Ragdoll, looks so much better than most villains of the week because they actually gave him a comic book costume. The problem with villains of the week, and I know I'm saying that term a lot lately, but the problem with them usually is that they just look like regular people who happen to have superpowers, or in the case of this season, they have objects that make it seem like they have superpowers. Now, I don't think it's very practical to give villains, every single one of them, a costume like they do in the comics, but for once in a while they should, and they're doing it here with Ragdoll. It just makes him so much more interesting than most villains of the week, if he even is a villain of the week. It's possible that he will be a secondary main villain of the season, which will be very cool, because in his character description it says that he has some sort of master plan that will be revealed this season. Now, it's possible that it will be revealed and resolved in this episode, but I think it will be much more interesting for that to be revealed in this episode or a future episode and be resolved in a future episode, because I really want him to return. which is kind of a weird thing to say because I actually haven't seen him yet on The Flash, but just going off his power set and the fact that they actually put effort into his costume, making it look like his comic book counterpart costume, just makes me more excited for him as a character. Also, his comic book, his powers are very cool. His character description also is very interesting, which includes obviously his master plan, which, speaking of that master plan, we do see some of that probably in this trailer, specifically when he kidnaps Barry. Now, it's possible one of two things I think is the reason he's kidnapping Barry. One, he knows Barry is the Flash and he's kidnapping him because he wants to either lure in Elongated Man and the rest of Team Flash, as you see in this trailer, or he just needs the Flash because he wants to get him out of the way. Or secondly, the second thing that could be happening here, the reason he's kidnapping Barry Allen, and I think that's a lot more likely, is because he needs a forensic scientist for his plan to work. Now, I have no idea why he would need a forensic scientist, but they probably will explain it in this episode. But really, I think that's the most likely scenario for why Ragdoll is actually kidnapping Barry. He needs a forensic scientist, and Barry is the leading forensic scientist in Central City, I'm pretty sure, at least in the CCPD, maybe even the entire Central City. I have no idea, but I think that's a lot more likely than him knowing that Barry is the Flash and kidnapping him for some reason connected to that. So then we see Elongated Man say that we need to rescue the Flash, or let's go rescue the Flash. Now, I think that first of all, Elongated Man might be taking some sort of a leadership role in this mission to save the Flash or save Barry Allen, which I am very excited for. I think that he's one of the best characters in the show. I thought that even in Season 4. A lot of people didn't like him in Season 4 and are starting to like him now in Season 5. I never disliked him at all, and I don't really get why people did, but in this season he seems to be even better than he was in Season 4, so I'm very excited for him to have his own storylines and for him to be possibly the main character of this episode. Now, the other reason they're really focusing on Elongated Man in this shot and in this trailer is that it's possible they're forming some sort of rivalry between him and Ragdoll. The reason I say that is because their power sets are fairly similar. I mean, they're both able to move their bodies and change their bodies in ways that most people really can't, or nobody can really, except for the actor who's playing Ragdoll and anybody else who could do that in real life. But on The Flash, they're probably going to make his powers way more extreme than what the actor can do in real life, but I think they might be forming some sort of rivalry between these two characters. It's very emphasized in this trailer that Elongated Man is going to save the Flash, and their power sets are very, very similar. It's also possible that in this season, Elongated Man will have some sort of storyline which is connected to his rivalry with Ragdoll, where he prefers, or he's putting the tracking down of Ragdoll ahead of tracking down Cicada. That can form some conflict, or it can just make him very, very focused on that and give him a storyline with his detective side, tracking down Ragdoll. Again, I really hope that Ragdoll returns for a future episode in this season, becomes a sort of secondary villain of the season, or just possibly a recurring villain in this season and a rival to the Elongated Man. So that is it for the trailer of this episode. There are other things that will happen in this episode outside of the trailer that I will go over right here. Specifically in the synopsis, it says that, for one, Nora will tell something to Iris, or it says that let something slip, which means that she will probably accidentally tell Iris something that about the future that seemingly devastates Iris. Now, I don't know if that is the same thing she told her in episode 4, or maybe she tells her something else, that maybe Iris did something to Nora beyond what she was told in episode 4, which I would not mind if they did that, because what we were told in episode 4 that she did wasn't very crazy, or wasn't all too bad what she did. So it's possible that in this episode it will be revealed that she did something else, and that will be a side storyline in this episode. Or also that will lead to Barry asking Iris to help fight Ragdoll, according to the synopsis. So that is that. Then there's also the fact that it says that Caitlin learned something about her father, and that something will probably lead into the next episode, which is titled The Icicle Cometh. If you don't know, the Icicle in the comics is named Cameron Mankahat, something similar to that, but he was referenced in episode 1 of The Flash, so it's possible that either he is going to appear in this episode, or they're doing something where they change the name of the villain and make him Thomas Snow, who is the father of Caitlin Snow. It's possible that it will be revealed that Caitlin actually got her powers through genetics because her father is possibly the Icicle. So that is it for this breakdown. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.